Welcome to the Intuitive Briefcase podcast. This is Linda Eastburn, and we have a very special guest today. Dr. Rob Kelly is with us. He is the author of Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking. He's had his own remarkable journey to recovery himself, and now he helps other people. So welcome to the show, Dr. Kelly.
Thank you so much, Linda. Great to be here. Hey, guys, great to see you.
So let's just jump right in. You have a really very interesting journey yourself to sobriety and to being able to help other people. So how did you approach getting well, and how did you actually end up being an addict yourself?
Well, I was born into an alcoholic family, though we didn't know that at the time. I was playing with my auntie and uncle on stage. I was playing bass guitar. That's where I took my first drink. So during my day, and still now, people don't know what alcoholism is. They think it's just somebody who drinks a lot of alcohol, and that's not the case. So my out was a spiritual awakening that happened to me on the streets, which was absolutely phenomenal. And then I got help of a guy called Johnny we could never trace. And then I started on my journey about 25 years ago in England, Manchester, England. And 20 years ago, I got a keynote speaker in Dallas. So I flew over and did the talk. And I just knew right there and then that I was never going to go back to England again. So I stayed and applied for my green card and stuff like that. What keeps me going today is the misunderstood disease of alcoholism. And the fact that people are dying every single day from lack of knowledge on what we're dealing with. So we specialize in neuroscience, we specialize in NLP, we specialize in somatic experience, all the neuroscience that brings us. We spent about $1.5 million or something on research and tests and trials. And now we can cure addiction, anxiety, depression, PTSD. Can't cure alcoholism, unfortunately, because of the hypothalamus. But yeah, I mean, I have a passion. I'm 64 years old. I am never going to retire. I have a passion for helping people and making sure that they recover and get their families back and enjoy life.
A very valuable resource for so many people who suffer from this and have such a difficult time. I know of several people that try and then fail and try and fail and try and fail. So something has to be different than just some of the more generic recovery programs. But you became an alcoholic and you lost everything in your life. Tell me about that journey to that point where you just turned over your life.
So 9, I took my first drink. Went through school pretty good. High school for England, high school here, secondary school, sorry, for in England. Went through that, was playing in bands weekend. I don't know, I was drinking a lot, started my own business, and everything was good, apart from I was drinking every day, which wasn't a problem because we lived the house on the hill, the brand new cars every 12 months. We had 2 beautiful children, ages 1 and 3. There was quite a bit of violence in the house that I wasn't aware of. I nearly killed my children. I died twice on the streets in Manchester. And then it literally, what felt like minutes was probably years, went all wrong. And I ended up homeless for the first time in my life. I'm around 26 years old, I think. And yeah, I remember sat on the streets for the first time thinking, what the hell just went wrong? Still thinking if I went home, the wife would let me back in, but I stabbed my wife 3 times one night because she wouldn't let me finish my bottle of vodka. So she wasn't going to let me back in again. She had the police round in 2 seconds. So did my parents, and everybody abandoned me, and rightly so. And it was absolutely hell on earth is what it was for me. I damaged relationship after relationship. I was like a virus. I infected everybody with my alcoholism, and people around me suffered because of my alcoholism. And most of the time, I'd be oblivious to what was going on because 90% of the time I was drunk. So yeah, it was this world that I was in that I just wanted to die. I definitely didn't want to live. I tried to commit suicide 7 times, and 2 occasions they worked. They brought me back to life. And do you know something, Linda? I hated them men for that. I hated the paramedics that brought me back to life. But, I'm so grateful today that I'm still here to tell the story.
So your life was just basically out of control due to the drinking and you were just miserable.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is, I didn't think it was out of control. I thought I was controlling everything, even when I was on the streets and everything had gone. My 2 babies were taken off me. My wife had left. My parents and brother and sister completely cut me off. Friends didn't want to know me. Associates didn't want to know me. So I was in that place of abandonment. And if you've ever been abandoned, guys, properly abandoned, it hits the soul. It hits parts of the brain that you're never going to fully recover from. We do our best with our childhood work because we think childhood trauma is the gateway drug. Everybody has it. It's just to one extent. And with alcoholics, we're more sensitive to a trauma. That's what very few people know. So we act out on trauma that other people don't think is trauma. So yeah, definitely. I don't remember days. I don't remember years, and I'm not fighting for the last 20 years of going back and trying to find out what years. I've done all my work, all my trauma work, everything around the disease, and I've recovered from that stuff, and I've done my childhood work, and I found my identity, and that's the key, my identity. I know who I truly am today. I know why I'm here, and I know what I've got to do.
It sounds like you found purpose and meaning to existence that was beyond that. But something you said really caught my attention. You said that, oftentimes a person who is an addict or an alcoholic will have trauma, but they don't recognize that they've experienced trauma. Can you describe that to me or explain that?
So the basal ganglia, hypothalamus, and amygdala are different in alcoholics than they are in any other human being. So what happens is, this is how it works. So me and my brother, true story, we're still on the kitchen table and we're playing and sword fighting or something. And my mum walks in, and we're not supposed to stand on the kitchen table, obviously. And this is what she says to both of us. Get down off that table. Get down before your father gets in. Get down. My brother jumps off and I freeze. The reason I froze is because what I've heard, table, you stupid idiot, is what I hear. So when I started getting well, I went back and I did some studying around that. And that's the sensitivity around, we get hurt quick, we are quick to defend. It's kind of, I'm going to hurt you before you're going to hurt me, because I know eventually you're going to leave me. I know you're going to, so I'm going to get in there first and do it. And the sensitivity with the central nervous system, and especially the basal ganglia, which is our repetition learning part of the brain, it becomes like everything and everyone is out to attack us. And that's not the case, obviously.
Yeah, that can see that. So it's an exceptionally sensitive person that generally is going to hear that different message.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, we react differently because if we hear things differently. And when I said that, most people that have been through what I've been through, they go wide-eyed and go, oh my goodness, we hear things different, and we do. I mean, there's a lot of things different from an alcoholic to somebody who abuses, and there's a big difference between alcoholism and drug addiction. Alcoholics are born and drug addicts are made. There's a myth that you can drink yourself into becoming an alcoholic, and that's not true. It's a biochemical reaction in the brain. We've traced it back to fetus level. So once we take that first drink, it is hereditary. So if you're not sure whether you're an alcoholic or not, go back 3 generations and see if you can find alcoholism in your family. If you can't, then you're probably abusing alcohol. And that's the difference.
I see. So in the work that you do, I find it fascinating. You found many ways to help people. And since you're dealing, the way I understand this, you're dealing with 2 different things. Alcoholism is one thing that you deal with, and addiction, like drug addiction, is something different. Is that correct?
No, both the same treatment,
Okay.
but it's just a slight difference. Is you can take enough drugs to become a drug addict, but you can't drink enough to be an alcoholic. So drug addiction has the people that suffer from drug addiction have the addicted personality. They're not born this way. Alcoholics are born this way. It's hereditary. We're born with a predisposition where drug addicts are not. How do we know that? Well, 94% right now of people, and I've dealt with 11,000 patients, 94% of people that come to us with a drug addiction started in the doctor's office. So we know it's not hereditary. We know that these people are being, given these pain meds and stuff from the doctor because the food industry gets us sick and the pharmaceutical company keeps us sick. And all of a sudden they withdraw because there's been some, hearings around. You say we've got to be careful what you prescribe, and all of a sudden you found a housewife going downtown to this shady area of town trying to find drugs because she can't come off it. And that's what we see time and time again. And people take medication. It's like a routine everybody's in. People take medication that we don't need or is not working, but we keep taking it. We have people in there all the time. We had one in last week, a lady, housewife. Dr. Rob, you've got to help me. I'm so depressed. Oh, okay, then. Well, how long have you been depressed? About 5 years now. Every day, yeah, I just can't get rid of it. I'm suicidal. I don't know what to do. Are you taking medication for that depression? Yes, I'm taking blah, blah from the doctor. Okay. When did you start the medication? 4 years ago. When did you think it was going to kick in? Because you've been taking this medication for 4 years and your depression is worse than ever. And we find that with pharmaceutical drugs is we're taking this stuff and with no idea what it is. And the question I ask when I do my conferences is, has anybody in this room, we're talking about psych, anybody in this room gone to the doctor for an ailment or illness, been given pills, taken the pills, cured that ailment, so you never have to take that pill again? And the answer is always no.
Yeah, that's interesting because so many people I know are on some form of medication to alter some kind of an emotional issue. And generally speaking, it is not accomplishing what they are looking for it to accomplish.
And we're in this zone where human beings in America, and I'm American, by the way, don't be fooled by my accent. I'm not a British guy. America's terrible. No, I'm an American citizen and I'm proud of that. But we get in this cycle where we're like sheep, we follow. Well, this is the predator. If you're going to the doctor, listen carefully, guys. If you're going to the doctor with depression, and if he's not asking what your daily routine's like, what are you eating, what's your exercise routine, how's the family? If he's not asking them questions, which they don't, what you have in your hands is a highly paid drug dealer is all you have. Because go back to the day when people used to spend time there. Doctors cared, they'd ask questions, and then if you needed medication, they would prescribe it. Back in 1970s and 80s, prescribe it for a period of time. Is that we don't do this today. We write prescription. And we've done our work on everything I say today, guys. We've done our research, we've done our work on it, we tried, we tested it. We went to a doctor. I went to 3 doctors asking for Adderall because I couldn't think straight. That was the test. The first one, I'd not even sat down and he got his prescription pad out. And I said, I can't concentrate. I don't know what to do. And I said, I don't know what to do. And he tore this thing up and he handed it to me. He said, take these pills. You'll get better. Come and see me back in 2 months. It was for 90 Adderall. Adderall is amphetamine salts. It's ADHD. It's not a deficit. It's not attention deficit. It's attention overload. But we keep following, keep taking because it comes from the medical fraternity who know nothing about addiction, alcoholism, PTSD, depression, anxiety, nothing about that. They just want to give you a pill. Well, there is nowhere or no one in the world that I've heard that says that if you want to cure drug addiction, I'm going to give you some drugs. Cure drug addiction. You can't take a drug to cure drug addiction. But we're on this path. I don't know what the stats are, and I don't want to say, but it's up there of people in America on some kind of medication. Now, if you're on heart medication and stuff like that, 100%. We're only talking psych, the area that I specialize in. When a drug addict goes into treatment and they put him on Suboxone, Suboxone is a taper. It was meant for a taper. It's a 3-month shelf life. If you're still on Suboxone 6, 7, 12 months down the line, guess what? You're still a drug addict and you're still taking drugs. But because it's from the doctor, it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay, guys.
So in your work with addicts, what is your approach? Where do you begin? How do you determine what a program will be for someone? And then how do you implement that?
It's a great question. So nobody's the same, so we don't really have a cookie cutter program. I'm a concierge doctor. I work with 4 patients every 3 months, though my staff work with every client in the world, and we have 5 offices around the world, and we're great and all that. But when they come in, you need to pass an assessment. We need to know that A, are you the real deal? And B, are you willing to get well? And I turned personally millions of dollars down with actors and movie stars and musicians that weren't ready. And I'm not going to take your money. I don't do it. We don't operate like that. We give more money away sometimes than we earn, because that's the important. So you've got to pass the assessment. What I'm looking for in the assessment is a genuine cry for help. Like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not looking for some kid who's come here because his mum and dad says he can have his phone back if he comes to us, and they've got a check worth $500,000 for 4 months' work, and they just want us to take him over. I can't do that. One of the reasons we have a 98% success rate is because, well, there's a few things. But first of all, I need to know if you want to be here, and I need to know, are you done? Are you done the way you live in your life, and do you want to change? If the answer is out, don't take them. Go back in the waiting room, tell mum and dad can't take them. That's when the tears start. The lengths I'll go to prove that is a little unethical. I will offer them something like, say it's Friday. I've got this Percocet in the drawer, Jimmy. I like Percocet just like you do, so let's take it today on Friday and we'll start Monday. 9 out of 10 times the patient will go, yeah, that's a great idea. I walk out to the waiting room and I said, I'm sorry, we can't help you. The guys that say, no way, doc, I want to get well, they're the guys, and just this instance, they're the guys that I'm going to take on. You've got to want this without the heart. So the program itself includes our breath box, part of the subliminal layered messaging with headphones and a blackout mask that takes you and restructures brain patterns, restructures neural pathways. We use somatic experience, which is all about the body. We use NLP. We use psychology, and we're very big on subliminal messaging. So you will change from the first session that you have here. You will change. If you don't, I will refund you your money, is what we tell people. And no one in the world does that, because we have a program that works. And a lot of people out there don't like Dr. Rob treatment centers, and that's fine. I don't like them. It's a great relationship that we have. When you're letting little Johnny back in your treatment center for the 4th time, still charging him $10,000 a month, shame on you. Shame on you. If anything should happen to our patients while following our program, 2%, that's all, while following our program after they leave, we'll bring you back for nothing. And we'll try again with you. But it's 100% guaranteed. In this industry, it's unheard of. But I've done it myself. I've fully cured the addiction. I've recovered from alcoholism. And thousands, over 11,000 people that have worked with me, 98% of them have got the life back, got the jobs back, got the kids back, got the wife back. So we like to say we're not so much specialists in alcohol and addiction. We reunite families. We reunite. So we've got the percentage for the assessment. The next thing we look at is, say it's the guy who's an alcoholic. He comes on for 7 days a week, 1 hour a day, either telehealth or in person for 90 days. And his partner or wife needs to come on for 2 days a week. And they always want to come on. Let me tell you about my husband. And we go, stop. This has nothing to do with your husband. This is about him. Well, it's not my problem. He's the one that comes home and starts fights. And we go, okay, Mrs. Smith, Can you tell me why you allow your husband 2 or 3 times a week to come home drunk and bash you in front of the children? You're suffering from PTSD. So they both do their own work. They swim to their own rafts, and we pull them in together to recover. When that happens, the success rate of the alcoholic or addict goes up by 42% alone. So you got 42%, add the 10%, 52%. You've got to recover in your own environment. You can't stick somebody for 30 days somewhere and expect the world to change when he comes back. Add in their own environment adds another 10%. So we're on 60% before they even sit down in front of me. And that's the special reason. It's like, this is a family illness, guys, but it's also a family recovery. But each must take their own part in this. Because, again, how do we know that? Well, we went to, I think, 5, I'm not sure, violent alcoholic houses, and they were all men, unfortunately. And we tested the women pertaining to PTSD. And then we found 5 soldiers, most of them were friends of ours, who came back from Afghanistan, and we checked their PTSD levels, how bad they were, we talked it through, and the PTSD in both patients were exactly the same. So the PTSD in the housewife and the PTSD in the soldier coming back from war was exactly the same. And yet we don't look at the housewife and PTSD, we look at the soldier, God bless them, rightly so, bless our troops, thank you for the service, guys. But we don't look at the housewife. So we have a sick family, running a sick family, and sooner or later the guy or whoever's the alcoholic is going to die. That's it.
Yeah, I can see how that that could be a trigger, and it just continues forward on and on. I like what you said earlier about alcoholics. Really, they're born. There's a certain way that they are, and that they're born that way. I've known a few people that identified that by not drinking, but when they would have a drink, they couldn't stop. They literally could not stop. They recognized they had this issue and just stopped drinking. They just never even had that first drink, because it was one drink, literally, that would just take them over the top, and they could not quit. Which I found amazing, because I can have a drink and stop because I don't like the way I feel after a couple of drinks. You know, that's as much as I can possibly handle, because my body doesn't do well with drinking. So, but they were just the opposite. They continue drinking on and on. So is that some way that you can identify it, that you have an issue, is by the way you respond to that first drink?
I love that, Linda. I've done thousands of podcasts. That's a great question. I love it, absolutely. One of the questions we ask is, first of all, can you trace it back in family? Secondly, when you take the first drink, can you stop? If I took a drink today, I wouldn't be home for Christmas. In actual fact, I'd probably die. And people don't understand that. And rightly so, there's not enough education, because if they can't stick you in a treatment center or give you pharmaceutical drugs with that much money in you, you're not worth anything to them guys. So this hasn't been researched. But yeah, let me tell you why that is. So there's a part of the brain from birth that's called a hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is our survival part of the brain. It tells a human being to eat food, drink water to survive. That's it. It's a fundamental job of the hypothalamus. During the traveling journey of the alcoholic, and we don't know why and we don't know when, the hypothalamus turns around and hijacks the brain and tells my brain to drink alcohol to survive. It hijacks. So when the survival part of the brain is hijacking the brain and telling you to drink alcohol, then that's what you focus on, because the hypothalamus is telling me, if I don't drink alcohol, I'm going to die. So kids, houses, jobs go by the by. My brain is telling me I have to drink alcohol, even though it's to the contrary. If I carry on, I will die. But that's why it's a disease, because of the hypothalamus. So all of a sudden, the choice of whether you drink or not is taken away from you. So a real alcoholic needs to get serious about plenty of things, but this has to be a new daily routine that you get in. We have a full routine for our patients who come here. They come here for an hour, 1 hour, but we're also watching, and we've got homework, and we've got certain tasks every single day until we reshift the pathways from self-sabotage to good, healthy neural pathways. Now, 300 neural pathways die every single day in the brain. What are you replacing them with? Are you replacing them with old thought patterns? It's always going to go wrong. I'm never good enough, never tall enough, thin enough, blonde enough, rich enough. Or are we influxing and imprinting 300 neural pathways that are positive with new actions and belief that literally, and I mean literally, you can be anybody you want to be and you can achieve anything you want to achieve. And that's just the bottom line. We work with entrepreneurs, we work with podcasters, we work with small businesses who want to build empires. It's all in the state of the mind over matter. So the brain is matter, and this is the mind. This is the guide you've got to watch. The only thing you've got to watch is the subconscious and conscious brain fighting for your attention all of the time. Childhood trauma, the subconscious brain will run the day. That guy wants to kill you and make you look like an accident. So you have to be aware of this. I'm not into politics. I don't care who's in charge. They've not personally done anything for me. I've worked hard to be where I am today. But let's get serious for a second. When I first came over here and I told people you could do anything you want and you could be anybody, Americans always said the same thing. Well, I can't be president of the United States. Let's go back a few years. We had a businessman running the country with no political experience whatsoever. Don't dare tell me that you can't achieve your dreams. It's not true. Somebody's put that there.
Let's go back to the idea of trauma, because I like what you said about not everyone hears the same thing, but also the sensitivity nature of certain people. How can a parent observing a very young child, what are the ways that they can recognize that they're dealing with an extremely sensitive child that may experience trauma from things that they have no idea that they're giving to their child that's traumatic to them, because they may not respond the same way that the parents would respond to the same sentence.
So there's a couple of things we have to look for. Unfortunately, people are busy today. They've got 2 jobs to run a normal household. We haven't really got time to do lots of stuff. Johnny comes home from school, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. Mum and dad are getting home, they're tired. You stick little Johnny on a gaming console for 3 hours, and then you serve him his dinner. Boom, I'll show you a future addict if that's happening. The validation and approval of the child, if that's going well, then look for the behavior. The behavior always gives it away. But, and here's the but again, one of the biggest things that we have, especially, this ties to, let's say a woman being molested when she was a young kid. You were never validated or approved for that action. Nobody validated that happened. So the behavior changes and the trust is lost and all that stuff. So it's the same with little kids. It's like you have to watch their behavior. If it pulls away, if there's tantrums, if all this stuff. Because if there's one thing we came up with that not a lot of people like, but it's true, is anything less than nurturing as a child is child abuse. Period. And people balk at that. Oh, that can't. It's true. We haven't got time sometimes to be there all the time. But the time that you are there, you have to validate and approve all of the time. And so the child gets its own identity. So it's all behavior. Behavior will tell you anything you want to know. Adults or child makes no difference. Because the body acts, this is why somatic experience is really important. The body acts on anything, any trauma, any excitement. You'll see body, the behavioral science behind it is fascinating, but you'll see the change right there and then, because even young kids go to school, 6, 7, 8, whatever, they are influenced by the people around them. And this comes from when kids were toddlers and they're toddling around the kitchen and mum says, whatever you do, don't touch the stove, it will burn you. What does a kid do? Touch the stove and it burns them. What does a kid learn from it? It learns that whatever mom said is true. And you carry that out to the world. So anything anybody tells them is true. So when you're getting verbally something happens, the child believes that to be true. So the behavior will change. Like not turning up, as you get towards 9, 10, and 12, not wanting to have dinner with the family, not wanting to go anywhere. The isolation might happen even at that age. And they're the indicators to look for. There's no one way. There's no handbook with children, unfortunately. When they're born, they don't give you a big book going, here's how to raise the kids. There's no handbook. So there's no blame, even when there's childhood trauma, including the parents. It came straight from the parents. So they were allowed, in my situation, my mum and dad used to drop me at their friend's house while they went drinking on a Friday night, and they would pick us up on the Saturday. What they didn't know is when the car pulled out the driveway, these three adults and a couple of children they were watching as well, including me, had to play what was called the run around naked game. So we'd have to get naked, the adults would get naked, and they'd chase us around and tickle us. I didn't know that was child abuse. So why would I mention it to my parents? Just, we were very good in the early days of covering and normalizing any kind of child abuse. It became normal. My headmaster used to molest me. I thought it was normal because nobody told me to the contrary. And I went home one day and told my parents that the priest had put his hand down my trousers, and I got hit with a wooden shoe, sent up to bed and scolded to even dream something like that would happen. So all the going back to behavior, the behavior changed. And that's where the childhood trauma comes in, is what we do as an adult is a direct correlation to what happened to us. Here's the scary part. Most of it is in the subconscious brain, so you don't know. But here's a few indicators. If you can't keep a relationship, you can't keep a job, you're down, you're depressed all the time, nothing's working out for you, childhood trauma. You need to go back, uncover, discover, and discard of that trauma. Otherwise, it will run and ruin your life.
How do you go back and discover that? How do you go back in your life and find out if there was something hidden, something you don't consciously remember, but something that is basically controlling your life today and promoting you to perhaps be an addict of some sort?
So you can't do this with talk therapy. We thought we could at one time. You have to look at the neuroscience behind this. So we have to look at most of it is in the subconscious brain. So what we have to do is travel into the subconscious brain with subliminal or brain spotting and pull that trauma out. So brain spotting is very good for this. It's an easy tool to do, though you have to be trained and certified to do it. And you're looking for eye movements with the pupil, go straight into the subconscious brain. So let's say we're doing this and the eyes only are following. You'll notice at one time the eyes will flicker. Right there and then, prefrontal cortex has picked up the trauma, and we will stay there with that one for an hour if we need to. And soon enough, we keep asking them what's coming up for you, and soon enough that trauma will come up. Along with what's called 9-dimensional, multi-dimensional breath work software that we use that takes you on this journey. You hear a voice and music, but subliminally, there's 9 subliminal messages around you at all times going into the subconscious brain. So the guy might raise his voice, like when you're going there, da, 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 his tonal change, the subliminal messages is going in. And sooner or later, that childhood trauma that they didn't know about will pop up. Most of it is the parents or uncles molested them as a child, which they had no idea. But if a child grows up in a house that's dysfunctional, they will become dysfunctional. If a house with a little girl's growing up and she sees mom and dad get into a fist fight every time dad comes home from the bar drunk, they have this fist fight, physical fist fight. They all go to bed, they get the next morning, and mom says, "Oh, sorry about last night, I love you." And dad says, "Oh, I love you too." And give her, "I'm so sorry about last night." What does it say? What does it say to the child? It says that every time that happens, it equals love, because that's what you hear the next day. So that child, that girl will go out into the world, which she goes to college, and her mind, which is energy, you can't feel it, touch it, will attract the same energy. The person that ends up beating her or ends up being a no good, taking too many drugs or getting drunk every night. If she ends up with a guy that's really nice, she will somehow subconsciously self-sabotage that relationship because it doesn't feel wrong.
I see. Well, I noticed that you use neuro-linguistic programming. Can you describe what that is and how that benefits someone?
So it's reprogramming voices in your head and repatterning the pathways. Everything's in a pattern. Human beings work in a pattern, either consciously or subconsciously. So you're planting a different lamp. into their head. And the daughter that was taken off me 30 years ago when she was 3 or 4 years old, the last thing she said to me is, Daddy, please stop drinking, as the authorities and mum took him away because I'd been drunk for 3 days and they'd not been changed diapers or fed food for 2 days. That girl, when I visited her, after 30 years, we flew over there. I was so scared. We hugged, we cried on the doorstep, and she walked me into a living room. She handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter. That girl went back to school. She's my lead therapist in NLP now in Manchester, England. And she will tell you that with NLP, you can change thought patterns and you can change behavior. But the idea is, with any subliminal kind of work, is the conscious brain cannot find out what you're doing. And there's loads of fascinating ways of doing that, planting words and phrases into the subconscious brain that becomes the conscious feelings and thought patterns, therefore behavior of any human being. So it's a sneaky way. It's like if we drop a pen on the floor, oh, you idiot. That'll stop that. Because that's stored in the subconscious brain. And do you know when that'll come to fruition, guys? Just when you're going to date that girl, get that job, that interview, all of a sudden, when you're waiting in the waiting room, subconscious brain and release. What an idiot. Look at the guys in here, far more intelligent than you. They're going to get the job. Now, who do I think I am sat in this food? I don't belong in this room and I'm. So you've got to be careful. The internal dialogue is vital for a great life. It's vital. Because if I tell you a lie now, you might believe it, you might not. If I tell you a lie often enough, then I believe it. And guess what? If I tell you a lie real often enough, I'm going to start to believe it. And that's how the human mind and brain work.
When a person comes to you, one of the things you said was they have to be ready. They have to be motivated. How much of their own internal motivation promotes the healing process for them?
So a lot of people come here, have the need and want to get well, but they don't have the drive behind them. So we create that for them. So at the beginning, 0, at the end, 100%. So what we do is, we're not therapists. We don't ask people how you're feeling. We will tell you how you are feeling until you get on the right track, identity, and start feeling for yourself and understanding who you are. So a lot of it is broken people coming to us, whether you're a rock star, whether you're a big musician, it makes no difference to us. We have to find your identity. Somewhere along the line, you've lost that. And it's vital that we find that. So 0 beginning, 100% at the end.
What advice would you give someone if they're listening to this podcast and they find themselves potentially in a position of being an alcoholic or have been a child of trauma, a person that's an addict of any sort and are considering getting some form of help? What would you tell that person that would enable them to perhaps move from that more ambiguous state to something that would actually be beneficial to them, create a productive life?
That dialogue, guys. Alcoholism and addiction or depression, any kind of inside trauma is still a dirty word. So we tend to keep it to ourselves, first of all, and we tend to start to believe that we're the only person in the world going through that. So you can't really tell anybody because they think you're crazy. Dialogue is the first thing we should start between them. So if you're 20, 25, 26, and you're going through this and you're not telling your parents or your girlfriend or wife, you're in grave danger. That kind of disease thrives in isolation. It thrives in isolation and it thrives in hypoxic situation. So we don't breathe enough as human beings. So the presence of oxygen equals a lack of disease, including addiction. So talk, first of all, parents, friends, or whatever, and then seek out somebody who knows how to treat this. Do not fall into the pattern of going to your doctor. They'll give you a medication that you don't probably need. Again, talking about psych. You just got to be careful. You've got to be sensible about it, and bring it out and just be honest about it. You know, we live in a dishonest world. It's really hard to be honest these days because everybody don't tell the truth, you know. How much do you earn? Oh, 150 grand a year. They're only probably on 70 grand. but nobody lives in this real world anymore. Obviously some people, but it's really hard to do that. So dial up and then go and see somebody, man. Call us. We have a rule that any parent or wife or husband going through or living with somebody who has the problem, you can call up here 12 hours a day. You can call 50 times if you wish. We're never going to sell you anything. What we're going to do is give you advice. So if you're struggling and don't know what, call the number on the website and we will advise you on what to do next. We haven't, well, like I said, we're not advertising it to do it, but my mum and dad went through this, so I always want to help the helpless. They don't know what's happening to the spouse or their child. And we're the guys that step forward and go, hey, we're going to help you on this. And again, you can call 10 times a day. You'll never be charged. You'll never be sold anything, never. And we'll guide you and we'll help you. And maybe you are fit for us. In that case, brilliant. We'll guarantee that you can recover. We'll guarantee the depression goes. We'll guarantee all this stuff after a period of time with us. So please make note of that number on the website and call it and make use of it. We are the experts. We're the guys talking to Robert Kennedy right now. We're the guys that work for the FBI, CIA. We're the guys that work with all movie stars and rock stars. We're the guys that work with the guy in the streets. We're the guys to go to, because every single one of my staff as a recovered alcoholic or addict or depression or PTSD, we've been through it. I think this is the only disease, and is a disease because of the hypothalamus, where you have to have experience in that to help somebody going through that. Like if you're a heart surgeon, you don't need to have heart problems to do that. But in this industry, specialized in what we specialize in, if you haven't been through it, you cannot help somebody get well. You just can't. So I don't care if you spent 10 years at school and addiction, blah, blah, makes no difference if you haven't gone through it, because it's not about the alcohol and it's not about the drugs. So alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism. And I found this out when I was outside a liquor store once. I think I was homeless, I'm not sure. And I'm shaking. I couldn't even breathe properly. I'm sweating profusely. I got a pair of shorts and vest and a pair of flip-flops. It's snowing. It's -10 or something. And I'm sweating. And the guy in the morning opens the door, 5:30, he knows I'm there, closes the door quick because he's not supposed to serve alcohol till 10 a.m. and gets to the counter on this occasion. And I'm I'll put my £10 on the counter and he puts the handle bottle of vodka on the counter, and this is what happened. Well, thank you, man. I've got mood change, sweat stopped, shaking stopped. I could speak properly. My mood instantly went to a happy mood. I was holding the top of the bottle. I looked back at the shop, like in slow motion, Linda. I looked back at the shopkeeper. I looked back at the bottom and I went, holy crap, it's not about the alcohol. So when I did come off the streets, we did our intense work on that and find out exactly what it was. And it's like the tests we've done on alcoholics and addicts when they're going to relapse. We'll pick you up, we'll take you there, we'll drive you, but whatever. And we wired them up to chest and head. And when somebody was going to relapse, most of them friends of ours, we would pick them up, we would take them to the liquor store or dealer, when we would drop them off back home. The most intoxicating part of the whole scenario was the drive to the liquor store or the drive to the drug dealer. When all the body gets excited because any second now you're going to get alcohol and drugs into your system. So neuroscience pertaining to this is very, very not only interesting, but I could speak on it for months from what we found. It's amazing, guys, what you can be. It's amazing what you're capable of doing. I know what I would hate, Linda, and I'd hate this for other people. So when you get to the age of 70, 80, and you look back in your life to when you were 30s and realize there was nobody watching and you really could have done anything you wanted to do. That's the message I give today. Stop giving a crap what people think about it. You have one answer like I do. You can't go to America and be famous. Says who? You can't be, says who? Because I don't like the rules that you have that tell me I can't do anything. When my mind is open, I'm a very, very smart guy. Not because I went to college, because all alcoholics, depressed PTSD guys are smart guys, wants to get rid of that illness, that disease, to get rid of it. We're very smart people. We don't get well to sit in our house all day watching Housewives of California. We're not meant to do that. We're meant to pass this on. We're meant to be excited about it. Every time you meet me, I'm excited about this stuff. I get you excited about this stuff. Because once you buy into that and once you realize what's available to you, it's mind blowing of what you can be and what you can attain and what you can achieve in this world. Don't listen to people who said anything to the contrary. You've got to remember one thing, guys. Nobody's doing as good as you or better will ever negatively comment on anything that you do. There's a lot of haters out there that don't want you to succeed. Be aware of who they are and distance yourself from them people, man, because show me your friends, I'll show you your future. It's as simple as that. We can change somebody's state of mind in 3 minutes or 4 minutes. How do we do that? Let's do our testing on that. We filled the waiting room with 9 actors and 1 patient who didn't know anything was going on, but we brought him in, again, a friend of ours, to have a free session on the breath box that we do. The idea was that when the actors were sat down, she came and sat down. There was a buzzer every 45 seconds. They were told that when the buzzer went, you all stand up for like 5 seconds and sit down again. And then one by one, we'll call you in until she's the only one left. The stage was set. She comes in, she's on her phone. Everyone stands up. And she looks back to her phone again. 45 seconds. Everyone stood up. Now she's putting her phone down and she's looking around at these people. On the third, which is going into 3 minutes, she stood up with everybody else and she sat down with everybody else. So that behavior is already, she's matching with the mirroring part of the brain of the behavior of people around us. When the 9 actors were called in one by one, as if they were real patients, she was the only one left in the waiting room. She stood up. That's the effect people can have on it. So if you want to do something, you've got to hang around the guys that are doing that already. You can't hang around the guys that are influencing you. I was in Dallas for 14 years, Linda, and I'm in San Antonio now for 5 years or something. When I was living in Dallas, I was very, very successful in Highland Park over there. And I said to my friends, I'm thinking of writing a book. And they were like, why? You can't write a book. You're not an author. Nobody wants to read. I never wrote a book, Linda. All the time I was in Dallas. I came to San Antonio 40 years ago. And I said to my new friend, I'm thinking of writing a book. And they went, oh my God, you haven't wrote a book, Rob? What's wrong with you? I wrote a book. But if I'd still hang around the guys back in Dallas, I would never have wrote that book. I think everybody should write a book. We give it most of them away. I'll give 10 copies away now, guys. Give you a second. Right. Writing a book was the most healing thing that I've done ever. Because you go back, it's in writing, you see your journey. I've never read it, not at that stage yet. My wife put all this together for me from things I'd tell her, but it was so healing. So I challenge everybody listening to this now, start writing the book. Come up with a title, start writing it about nothing, about your challenge, whatever it is. Okay. And then come and find, you'll be on this podcast, but come and find me, man. If you can tell me your title to the book, and if you can send the first couple of paragraphs, I'll send you $50, to encourage you to carry on. Everybody needs to do it, I'm telling you.
It's amazing. So if someone wanted to get help from your group, what would they do? How would they approach getting in touch with you?
So if you're listening, guys, and not watching, I spell my name with 2 B's, ROBBKELOY.com is the website. Jump on there. You'll see all the modalities. Go to the bottom of the page. You'll see all our social media. Dr. Rob Kelly in any search engine around the world, and up I'll pop. And yeah, messages, like us, you can do anything like that. If you want to get a hold of me personally, jump onto Facebook, Dr. Rob Kelly. is my name on there, and come message me, man. Come message me. And if you message me, I'll give you my personal phone number so you can text anything you're going through. If you need anything, I'll give. If you text me, man, and you're going through something, I will call you. I'll text you back first of all and arrange a day, mostly the same day. I will give you a 10-minute pep talk that'll change your life. Period. Because we're all in this together. I run 4 businesses. So I'm a busy guy, but I'm never too busy for that guy that is in that situation where he's contemplating suicide or contemplating, death of some kind. I would rather spend 10 minutes on my own phone talking to you than head of your suicide or your death next week. And that's just the way I operate. I get excited about helping people. I don't get even, Linda, I have no idea how much we're worth. I don't know how much I earn. I stay away from all that stuff because I have to keep my feet in the trenches and I have to help somebody who texts me. It's my duty. I bless somebody monetarily every time I leave the house every single day. And I'm open to the guy on the street coming up and going, Rob, I need help. I'm never going to turn that down. 25% of our income, we are multi-million-dollar companies, goes back into United States of America and UK. It goes back into communities to help other people. Well, if the dad has lost his kids and he's getting sober, and we don't even know him, but he's at the situation where he can go to court and get his kids back. But once a week, we'll pay for his legal fees, we'll pay for his suit. We'll get him a car to go there and back. We'll make the house nice. We'll do anything to make one person. Because at the end of the day, I'm not on this podcast to sell anything. I'm on this podcast because Courtney goes around and she spots people that are making a difference and saving lives. That's how we do it. I can't believe you're on my show. Well, we're not just, we turn like 100 of these down every month, podcasts of people. We got to save a life today, Victor. And if we do that, that's all we live for, man. That's all Connie does. She strolls the internet all the time. And she found you. And she comes to me and I got this Linda. She's doing miraculous things. She's like you and get on well together. And you'll save a few lives on the podcast. I'm in. Well, thank you for doing that.
Well, I am very honored to have you on the show. You've inspired me and I think you do wonderful work. I know this works. I know that it helps people, and I hope that people get in touch with you and find their way, their path to their own healing process. And like you, if one life is saved, if there is a better day, then good for it. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Linda.
And I want to thank everyone who's watching. If you need help, be sure to find help. Be sure to go and make some action toward getting the help that you actually need. This is Linda Eastburn on Intuitive Briefcase. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.